I date younger men. They tend to be men in their 20s. And through dating younger men, I encountered very directly and personally the real implications of the creeping ubiquity of hardcore pornography in our culture. So we live in a world today where hardcore porn is more freely and widely available via the internet than ever before, where kids like you are accessing it at earlier and earlier ages than ever before. And as a result, we now have an entire generation growing up that believes that what you see in hardcore porn is the way that you have sex. And this is exacerbated by the fact that we live in a society where we all have sex, but nobody ever talks about it. Parents are often way too embarrassed to teach their children about sex, and schools and colleges often run into issues of political correctness if they try and make up that educational gap. And so hardcore porn has become, by default, the sex education of today, and that is not a good thing. So 2.5 years ago, I launched a website, which you can find at makelovenotporn.com. And what this website does is it posts the myths of hardcore porn and it balances them with the reality. So the construct is porn world, real world. This is what happens in the porn world. This is what happens in the real world. And a couple of very important things to say about Make Love Not Porn are, first of all, Make Love Not Porn is not in any way about judgment. This is not about this is good or this is bad, because sex is the area of human experience that embraces the widest possible range of tastes and proclivities. And secondly, Make Love Not Porn is not anti-porn. I'm pro-porn. I watch it regularly myself. The issue I'm tackling is not porn. Porn has always been there, always will be. The issue I'm tackling is the complete lack in our society of an open, healthy dialogue around sex and porn that would then allow people to bring a real-world mindset to the viewing of what is essentially artificial entertainment. As you've heard, I launched Make Love Not Porn with a talk at TED 2.5 years ago in 2009. I took a deliberate decision when I launched it to be extremely graphic in the way I presented the concept, because I knew that for the TED audience, I would have to be very straightforward for them to really understand how important this issue was. As a result, everybody who was at TED 2009 remembers my talk. As one Twitterer said, it was probably the first time the words "come on my face" had been heard 6 times on the TED stage in rapid succession. And as a result, TED, while enormously supportive, then dithered all through that year about whether or not to post my talk online. And I want to tell you about what happened when they did, because, as I said earlier, if you boiled my entire message with Make Love Not Porn down to one thing, it would be purely and simply talk about it. And I want to demonstrate to you why this is so important. So, TED eventually posted my talk online, but they were still too nervous to post it on TED.com, because TED.com is visited by parents with kids and teachers with kids, in other words, my target audience. So they posted on the TED blog, and they posted it on YouTube. And when they posted on YouTube, they disabled the comment stream. Now, I know why they did that, because YouTube is maths with a capital M, but I asked them to enable it. I explained that I had created this website because I wanted people to have an open, healthy dialogue around it. I wanted people who watched my talk on YouTube to feel free to say anything they wanted to say. I said to TED, rest assured I will have a very healthy sense of humor about what they do say, and I will undertake to monitor the comment stream myself, and I'll respond personally wherever I think it's appropriate. My TED talk on YouTube has now been viewed 145,000 times. There is a comment stream of over 1,000 comments on it, and I've responded personally to approximately 90% of those. And I've done that for 3 reasons. The first is that while there are lots of very positive comments, there are also a lot of very negative ones. The negative ones all fall into one area. They tend to be young men, sometimes older men, but usually young men, hiding behind the veil of anonymity that a username affords, hurling obscene abuse at me. So when somebody posts, "Who'd want to come on her wrinkled old face anyway, shriveled up old hag?" he never expects that Cindy Gallop will respond to him personally, publicly, directly and with a sense of humor. So to that young gentleman, I responded, I know. I could really do with those facials, right? Yours, shriveled up old hag. To the one who posted, any young guys fucking her could only be doing so out of pity, I posted, fortunately, a number of guys in their 20s like to do charity work. So, reason number one, enormous entertainment value for me. Reason number two, this is my chance to do something that I feel very strongly about, which is the online equivalent of tapping someone on the shoulder and saying, look me in the eye and say that to my face. Because nobody ever does that. So, however I respond, I always sign myself off with what they called me. Yours, shriveled up old hag. Yours, wrinkled old bag. Because that's me going, look in black and white at what you just flung unthinkingly out into the blogosphere, coming back at you from the person you said it about. How does that feel now? And the third reason is, this is my one chance to open up their minds. When I respond to a YouTube commenter, they will read what I have to say because it's coming to them directly. They may choose to shrug it off, they may choose to ignore it, but it's my one opportunity to get them to think differently about the topic under discussion. The results of doing this have been fascinating. Many responses going, respect. We did not expect you to engage with the YouTube audience. Not many TED speakers do that. The perpetrator of some of the most offensive comments messaged me privately or in the comment stream to apologize. One of them, where there were particularly abusive commenters who just kept flaming me no matter what I said, eventually I would say, please, I'd like to discuss this one-on-one. Please message me privately on here because the comment stream windows are very small. Of the 10 or so guys I invited to do that, 9 of them did. In this entire process, I've only ever had to give up on one person. And when you get them on their own, one-on-one, the dialogue changes completely. So one of the angriest commenters turned out to be 28, Eastern European, computer programmer, and a virgin. No wonder he was so angry about girls and sex. So I found myself going, so, have you ever thought about online dating? And by the way, when you meet a girl in the bar, you might want to chat her up like this, and we became friends. He messaged me privately on YouTube on Christmas Day to say, I met somebody, I'm in love. And I went, fantastic, that's great. And then he dated her for a while, and then unfortunately she dumped him. So he wept on my shoulder, and I said, get back in the game, get out there, there are more. But essentially, a number of people who observed this happening on YouTube would comment as well, and they would say, we're really sorry that you're having to deal with all these trolls on here. And my response was, they're not trolls. The strength of people's responses only demonstrate how enormously personal this area is and how very rarely we ever get to talk about it. Because we all get enormously vulnerable when we get naked. Sexual egos are very fragile. People find it bizarrely difficult to talk about sex with the people they're actually having it with while they're actually having it. We are terrified of hurting the other person's feelings, putting them off us, derailing the entire encounter. But at the same time, we really want to please our partners, and so we will seize our cues for how we do that from anywhere we can find them. And if the only cues we have are from porn, then those are the ones we'll take, to often not very good effect. So overly porn-influenced sexual behavior is often driven by the best of all possible motives, not the worst. Ever since I launched Make Love Not Porn, I should explain it's my secondary venture. My primary startup is called If We Ran the World. I've had no time, money, resources, funds to spend on Make Love Not Porn, but the response has been extraordinary. On zero promotion, Make Love Not Porn gets 3,000 unique visitors per day. Whenever anybody posts my TEDtalks somewhere high traffic, that goes up to 10 to 12,000. This is a global issue. Make Love Not Porn is a global concept, which I've always intended, but I haven't been able to do anything proactively about that. But it gets tweeted around the world. It gets traffic from 180 countries in very interesting combinations. So at one point last year, the second highest source of traffic after the US was China. I've no idea how or why, especially as it's not in Chinese. Currently, the second highest source of traffic is Turkey. The fifth is India. The seventh and eighth are Indonesia and Malaysia. And I get emails every single day about it, from young and old, male and female, from all around the world. And even before the content I put out there, on what is a very basic, clunky website, what seems to blow people away is the fact that I stood up on stage in public and I'm doing something about something we all know but nobody ever talks about. As a result, people feel able to tell me anything. They pour their hearts out to me on email. They tell me things about their sex lives and their porn-watching habits they've never told anybody else. I get emails from male porn addicts. I get emails from female porn addicts. They exist too. And so I feel an enormous personal responsibility to take Make Love Not Porn forwards in a way that will make it much more far-reaching, helpful, and effective. I should say, too, that in amongst that vast network of people who've reached out to me saying, love what you're doing, we want to help, are a lot of people from within the porn industry, particularly Generation Y in porn, 18 to 30-year-olds. Because Gen Y in porn is like Gen Y anywhere else. Entrepreneurial, ambitious, questioning and challenging of the old world order, want to be part of the new. 20-something porn stars and porn directors have reached out to me saying, we love this initiative and we want to help you with it. So within the porn world itself, they're also looking to create a different kind of future. And so I will actually be taking Make Love Not Porn forwards as a business venture. I will be launching in January of 2012 MakeLoveNotPorn.tv. And by the way, wherever your mind goes when I say that, that is not the concept. I'm doing something that nobody else has done before, but something that I think will be very much welcomed. And do all check it out at the URL MakeLoveNotPorn.tv, because you can sign up now and we'll alert you when that goes live. But I guess, what I would say to all of you today is, as a tech entrepreneur, I engage in conversations every day. I go to conferences. I read blogs about the impact of technology on human behavior. I am tackling with Make Love Not Porn the single biggest impact that technology is having on the most fundamental aspect of human behavior, which is our sexuality, which informs every part of how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about other people, our relationships, our lives, our happiness. And so my message to you today is the same message that Michael gave you earlier, that Audrey gave you, which is do not live in a screen in one of the most important areas of your lives. Live in the real world, talk to each other, find out what you like, find out what your partner likes, have a conversation about it, and as and when you embark on your sexual lives, have a much better and happier time as a result. Thank you very much.